Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning, talking Baltimore Ravens. Super bizarre things going on in Baltimore. So many injuries. Today's news is running back Gus Edwards. Remember, they've already lost JK Dobbins, and cornerback Marcus Peters have seemingly suffered the same injury, torn ACL, in the same practice. Same thing happened, like I said, JK Dobbins tore his ACL in practice. Who knows what's going on here in Baltimore, but that's really what we're going to be talking about today. So, Jay, what do you think about this?
Basically, the biggest thing to me is how much does this hurt the Ravens? I understand, of all the teams to lose basically all the running backs, again, like you said, JK Dobbins, just recently Gus Edwards, and they lost their third string, Justice Hill, and now they're on to their fourth string, you could say, in Le'Veon Bell. I don't really consider him a fourth string, but still, of all the teams to lose their running backs, the one team that can make up for it through the quarterback is Lamar. Again, I'm trying to just look at the bright side here. No one wants to see this for the Ravens or any team at all, no matter who it is. But if there's one team to lose it all, I feel like the best team that has a chance of somewhat having a relatively good run game would be the Baltimore Ravens, like I said, with Lamar Jackson. There's a Kyler, there's Russell Wilson, even a mobile Josh Allen, but still, Lamar I still think can produce some run game for this team. But to go down to your fourth string back, no matter who it is, Le'Veon Bell, whether it's me, it's just not a great sign. I truly do like this for Le'Veon Bell to possibly, rejuvenate his career and just hopefully put his name on the map again. But outside of the backfield, ignoring that for 1 second, losing Marcus Peters, that amazing cornerback duo between him and Marlon Humphrey is no longer in effect or present, and they're no longer in the conversation to be the best secondary in the NFL anymore. While the Ravens still have a great roster, like I said, Lamar, they still have Marlon Humphrey, it's just definitely going to hit them to an extent to where this might take them out of Super Bowl status. Again, could be a good team, could be a playoff team, could be a surprise team, but being in that Tier 1 class with the Bills, with the Chiefs, I just don't know if they're there anymore with these injuries.
Yeah, you make a good point that I guess if there was one team in the league that could afford this, it would be Baltimore. When we talked about JK Dobbins, we possibly assumed that this would make Lamar have to throw the ball more and hopefully improve his passing game. And if that's not true, then now it is true that Lamar's going to have to figure it out through the air. Not to get into that argument, but I do think that this could actually in some way be good for Lamar to force him to have to adapt his game a little bit. But yes, I do think that to say this takes the Ravens out of Super Bowl contention is true, but in my opinion, they weren't there in the first place. Okay. But I do think that this is big enough to change my opinion on the Ravens' playoff picture. Yes, you said that Marcus Peters is not their best defensive player, but he was certainly a good back. Yeah. Same thing with Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, good backfield there, but to lose them both is tough. To say Le'Veon Bell could fill that void, I can't tell you that for now. I think it is pretty ironic that they were. I mean, would they pick him up 2 days ago?
Yeah,
2 or 3 days ago.
Like that.
So good timing there. As far as the AFC North goes, I think that it was going to be a shootout between the Browns and the Ravens to win that division, and it just made it a little bit easier, quite a bit easier for the Browns to do so. So all in all, I do think this can pan out positive for Lamar's career as a quarterback. But if I'm a Ravens fan, obviously this is terrible.
Yeah, and just like going off of what you said, taking a closer look at the AFC North, this makes me think, can all of a sudden the Steelers now be in conversation to be a playoff team or wild card team? Because a division game, possibly if the Steelers, we all see them as regressing this year, but if they were going to possibly split one with the Ravens this year, now all of a sudden do they have the chance of sweeping them? Again, I'm getting a little far and a little speculative. We could still see the Ravens sweep them and vice versa, but these small injuries, they're not small anymore. You're not just losing one guy. You're losing guys that are 1 through 3 at your hardest position, or not your hardest position, but the position where it's the trickiest for the Ravens because they don't know how to game plan exactly due to Lamar being a threat on the ground as well. And then in your secondary, the thing that you got going for you to one of the best areas on your football field, this is a thing that opens up the AFC North in total. I think it was a two-man race for the Browns and Ravens to the top now, but I kind of see the Browns on their own pedestal, in my opinion, if these injuries do pull through, and I could seriously see the Steelers sneak up and now be a playoff team or a second place team in the AFC North. It hurts to see. I'm not a Ravens fan, but I just don't like to see any team get banged up. We're all of a sudden seeing the Ravens team become the Niners team last year. We know they have the talent, but they just cannot catch a break. And the sad thing is, season hasn't even started. We haven't even seen real physical football out of this team. So if the rest of the team's made out of glass, we're just in for the beginning at this point.
I mean, I don't know what you could be doing at practice to have all these injuries. I mean, they got to change something. Could we see Le'Veon Bell's career make a turnaround. Now he's got a starting job again. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head how old he is.
I think he's 29.
I was going to say maybe 30. So he's not too old to do so. So that could be big. Could we see Lamar come back with another MVP caliber season because he's got to do pretty much all the work offensively? That's possible as well. We do know that Lamar's perfectly capable of being the team's number one running back as well as the quarterback and the passer. So in all real, at least offensively, we could see the Ravens really not even take a setback, even losing their best two running backs. Defensively, Marcus Peters, that's going to hurt regardless. Lamar can't do anything about the defensive side of the football. But again, we said the same thing for JK Dobbins. As Ravens fans, this is bad, but there's still a bright side, and that is Lamar Jackson. So even without Gus Edwards, I still think that there's definitely hope for the Ravens to be at least playoff contenders.
Yeah, and like you said, how we could possibly still see MVP Lamar. When he won MVP, they didn't have this phenomenal back. Yeah, Mark Ingram was pretty good, but it's not like he was this absolute baller. I think he's something that Le'Veon Bell can play up to. So their offense, if I had to bet, will it take a minor step back? Yes. But again, it's still not going to really stop this team from being electric, and you can't just blow them off. They're still going to be probably above 500. They're still probably going to be in playoff contention. It's just being on that Tier 1 status, it is not looking good. And as far as the secondary goes, losing Marcus Peters, like I said, he's such a big addition to this team. It does take them down from that conversation. But the offense, I do think that is up for debate of how far it's going to drop, if at all.
Yeah, I was interested to see what Baltimore's defense will be able to do to make up for the losses on offense of JK Dobbins at least. So that's going to be obviously changed. Again, the Ravens open up against Raiders this weekend, so that'll be an interesting game. That's not a great opponent, so hopefully we'll see the Ravens go 1-0. But nonetheless, these injuries, again, I would like to see some more information. All we've heard, I don't even know if the injuries are confirmed ACL tears at this point.
It's just expected.
But I would just like to hear some more information about what are these guys doing in practice, what's the organization having them do, because one's a coincidence and then three more isn't. But all in all, I do think the Ravens will, again, like I said about J.K. Dobbins, will find a way to bounce back.
Yeah, my final prediction would still be, I had the Ravens somewhere around 12-5, +1, -1 for my prediction. But now I think it's +1, -1, 11-6. I know it's only a one-game drop, but I do think we're seeing them go from 12-5 to 10-7 pretty quickly, especially with them losing Marcus Peters. And 10-7 just isn't what we expected out of Baltimore this year. So that is kind of a big drop, those two games.
Yeah, young QB still in Lamar. I think he's a great playmaker. That's obviously not even a question. So I still think the Ravens are good for 10 wins. But in an AFC North, that I think the Browns are going to be good for 12. That's just not going to be enough. If there was a chance for them to do it before, which there was, I think that's gone out the window. But the Ravens, I still think, will be a 10-win team and in the AFC playoff picture. That's all for the video. Again, all these injuries, who knows what's going on in Baltimore. Thanks for watching, guys. 2-minute warning.